Hello everyone. As you know, our award ceremony was originally scheduled to take place on April 8th, but was put on hold due to all things COVID. And it's clearer now that for the first time since the inception of our awards ceremony nearly 3 decades ago, these uncertain and challenging times will continue to prevent us for many months to come from gathering in person to acknowledge and award our colleagues and community partners for their exceptional work over this past year. But across the country, people are staying connected and conducting the business of the day using virtual platforms, virtual learning, virtual birthday parties, virtual cocktail hours, and virtual graduation ceremonies. So rather than canceling our ceremony altogether, instead, I'm pleased to welcome you to our 29th annual awards ceremony, virtual style. As is our tradition, we will begin with the presentation of colors by Officer Justin Zerbakken and Sergeant Beth Lopez, and the singing of our national anthem by Law Enforcement Dispatcher Kim Brunner.
Detail, present, arms.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave? Oh, the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Detail, order, arms.
Thank you. Before we get started, this video will be shorter than our usual awards ceremony, but to make things easier to digest, feel free to watch it in segments if that works better for you. However you choose to share in this UWPD tradition, I hope you will watch it, all of it, because it's a great showcase of the incredible work done by so many this past year, and a way, I hope, for all of us to come together in a spirit of celebration and appreciation for all that makes the UWPD a model of excellence. One final note, the actual awards, the plaques and hardware, are in our possession, and we will work to get them to all of our award recipients as soon as it's safe to do so. And now, to begin, I'd like to offer a brief explanation about how our awards process works, especially for those of you who are new to the department. Each year, we solicit award nominations from UWPD employees. We encourage our staff to nominate their fellow coworkers and members of the community for a variety of award categories. We organize the nominations, and a committee made up of members of our department and the general public go through each nomination. They offer a recommendation to me, and then I, as Chief of Police, make the final award decisions. At this time, I'd like to recognize those who served on our awards committee this year. Cindy Blankenship, Kendra Hendricks, Lieutenant Ryan Jesberger, Security Officer Kyle Call, Officer Jake Lepper, Director Elisa Lopez, Director Mark Lovacott, Manager Mandy Meyer, Catherine Mosier, Officer Matt Shaw, Christina Whitworth, and our community member, Gail Viney Goers from UW Cross College Advising Services. A big thank you to this year's committee for their hard work on all of the nominations. Okay, let's get started. And we'll start with our excellent service commendations for 2019. awarded to department members for excellent service above and beyond the norm in the performance of everyday duties, for exhibiting a high standard of job performance in a single incident, investigation, or exceptional arrest, for training others with dedication and concern in an effort to improve the department's operations, or for submitting for consideration a device or method that is adopted to increase efficiency in an administrative or tactical procedure. Our first excellent service commendation goes to law enforcement dispatcher Megan O'Kane. On October 4th this last year, shortly before 6:30 p.m., UWPD experienced a complete power outage at our headquarters. About 15 minutes later, our backup power system failed and our communications center lost all power in operations. From transferring calls to Dane County to radio communications and alarm monitoring, it was truly a team effort during this unusual event. However, law enforcement dispatcher Megan O'Kane truly shined, not just that night, but in the months ahead. LED O'Kane recognized there was no real plan in place for an event like this. She worked months to establish protocols and create a coup plan for a similar instance. We hope this never happens again, but if it does, our department is in a better position to react because of LED O'Kane's great work to develop a plan. This excellent service commendation is presented to law enforcement dispatcher Megan O'Kane. Our next excellent service commendation is to recognize a group of people for their work on our department's transition to NIBRS for crime statistics. This project started mid-2018, and the group was working to transition us a year ahead of the nationally mandated deadline, so we weren't scrambling to complete the work this year, a presidential election year. And who would have thought during a global pandemic? The process took several months to convert and create code tables with thousands of data points. UWPD became the first agency in the state to make the transition with the specific records management system we use. Several other agencies came to us for advice and recommendations on the process. Overall, the transition was a success and helped us to not only be compliant with federal requirements, but also to have the ability to better study and analyze our crime data. And once again, because of this team's work, we were the first and a model for other departments. This excellent service commendation is awarded to Sergeant Dan Bergoni, IT Manager Mandy Meyer, Assistant Chief Brent Plish, and Data Analyst Jessica Roden. We're always looking to improve processes here at UWPD, and that's what this next award is all about. It's been 10 years since our department's traditional 12-week security training program was looked at for revisions. Scheduling was complex, paperwork was tedious and redundant, and with the change in shifts and staffing levels, there was a need for more effective, concentrated training for security officers. In order to accomplish this, Security Supervisor Teresa Wagi stepped forward to develop an accelerated training program to create consistent learning and to build a foundation of knowledge. Supervisor Wagi's efforts created a more customized security training program, which is more efficient and concentrated with training that incorporates learning in a streamlined fashion. Thank you for your incredible efforts on this, Supervisor Wagi, efforts that will hopefully last another 10 years. This excellent service commendation is awarded to Security Supervisor Teresa Wagi. Our next excellent service commendation is the result of a major overhaul and remodel of our communications center. Law Enforcement Dispatch Supervisor John Gonring has been working on the communications center remodel project for several years, from gathering feedback and layout options from vendors to discussing options with our LEDs and then presenting the information to leadership. Supervisor Gonring played an integral role in the decision-making process for the remodel. As part of the remodel, the communications center needed to be moved to a different location. IT Manager Mandy Meyer was responsible for coordinating much of the transition, both to the secondary location and then back again, ensuring all of the communications center tasks were still able to be performed. Supervisor Gonring and Manager Meyer worked exceptionally well together to make this transition and remodel as smooth and seamless as possible. And now, as you all know, we have a beautiful state-of-the-art communications center that will last us for years to come. This Excellent Service Commendation is awarded to Law Enforcement Dispatch Supervisor John Gonring and IT Manager Mandy Meyer. Next up, an award that's all about planning for the anticipated growth of our department and the huge workload from a handful of our personnel to make our case to university leadership. Cindy Blankenship, Captain Mark Sobernagel, and Assistant Chief Brent Plish all helped shepherd a number of significant improvements and growth within the department. All worked to construct a multi-year strategic budget plan that included considerations for the current and future growth of enrollment and infrastructure within the university, and how that would impact our staffing. They put together a proposal which was ultimately approved by campus leadership, and we look forward to a time when we can put that plan into action as the campus looks to grow. Thanks to all of them for their great work and the long hours they put in, which contributed to the success of this effort. This Excellent Service Commendation is awarded to Cindy Blankenship, Captain Mark Sobernagel, and Assistant Chief Brent Plish. Our next award highlights the above and beyond work that one member of our investigative services team continues to take on. There's no doubt Detective Matt Schermacher plays an invaluable role within investigative services. Not only does he manage his own caseload, he is also the go-to detective for digital forensic needs. As nearly all cases have a digital forensics nexus, he is routinely sought after to help decipher or locate potential evidence. And not only is he a resource for us, he has a reputation in Dane County for his meticulous and timely response to requests for assistance. Simply put, Detective Schermacher never says no, and still manages to get all of his work done in a timely manner. In 2019 alone, he was assigned or assisted with more than 230 cases. Additionally, he received more than 40 official requests from outside agencies, not including requests to review video. Detective Schermacher's work is a prime example of our department's mission of constantly reaching higher, and I thank him for his tireless work. This Excellent Service Commendation is awarded to Detective Matt Schermacher. Our next award showcases quick actions and teamwork. Last May, LED Kendra Hendricks and former LED Christina Whitworth, who now works within our HR team, received a call about a veteran who had left a note stating he was going to take his life. LED Hendricks was able to quickly acquire a description and name of the individual, while LED Whitworth started the process of canvassing the area to search for him. She also notified other campus resources and law enforcement partners for help. Both LEDs worked together to conduct a phone ping, which determined his last location was actually O'Hare Airport in Chicago. Later on, we learned he may be heading to the Grand Canyon area to take his life. Our investigative services unit involved, police in Arizona were contacted, and the individual was eventually located. Both LEDs did an exceptional job with what was a very confusing and complicated case. This Excellent Service Commendation is awarded to Law Enforcement Dispatcher Kendra Hendricks and former Law Enforcement Dispatcher Christina Whitworth. Next up, a much-deserved award for a group of people who have put in a ton of work on the Title and Total Compensation Project. This is a university initiative to redesign campus job title and compensation structures. The Title and Total Compensation, or TTC project, works to modernize titles, pay, and benefits. The goal is to develop new systems that will help UW-Madison continue to attract and retain the best people. At UWPD, much of that work has been completed by Tracy Berman, Cindy Blankenship, and Captain Mark Sobernagel. All three have been working on everything you can imagine related to this project, from assisting and determining the new job groups, job summaries, and mapping employees to the appropriate titles. Tracy and Cindy were also appointed to the campus's professional outreach network, where they meet with other campus leaders regarding training, documentation for employees campus-wide, ensuring employees are not negatively affected by the TTC project, organizing campus forums, and much more. This initiative is ongoing and will continue well into 2020. And I'm so proud of the work our team has done on this important project. This Excellent Service Commendation is awarded to Tracy Berman, Cindy Blankenship, and Captain Mark Sobernagel. Up next, some much-deserved recognition for everyone's favorite topic, wait for it, Clery! As you all know, hopefully know, we are known throughout the country as a leader in the world of Clery compliance. When you hear Clery best practices, UW-Madison and UWPD immediately come to mind. And it's because of our amazing Clery team. In 2019, having been in his position less than 1 year, Assistant Director of Clery Compliance Mickey Keenast single-handedly took the unenviable task to maintain the institution's compliance with the Clery Act while the director position was in transition. The timing of this transition could not have come at a more challenging time. The early to late summer in a Clery professionals world has a lot of stuff going on. Not only did Mickey balance the demands of his workload to include processing several hundred responses from law enforcement agencies around the world, to managing training for hundreds of campus security authorities, but he also ensured that campus partners were notified and informed of their requirements to complete the 2019 Annual Security and Fire Safety Report. Further, he took ownership of collating all of the campus-wide responses from leadership across the university and assisted in publishing the required document. Mickey truly went above and beyond, and we are lucky to have him on our team. This excellent service commendation is awarded to Mickey Keenast. Each year, the UWPD Motor Unit participates in the annual Wisconsin Law Enforcement Memorial Procession. It typically goes from Olin Park to the Law Enforcement Memorial on the Capitol Square. It's a large event that is highly visible to the public. In 2019, Police Officer Stu Ballweg was asked to be the lead planner and lead motor for the procession escort. Officer Ballweg took on the challenge with his usual tenacity and excelled. He received praise from other members of the motor unit, along with other police departments from across the state that participated in the event. We are proud of Officer Ballweg's initiative and public demonstration of our mission of reaching higher. This excellent service commendation is awarded to Police Officer Stu Ballweg. Last year, many of you might remember, we saw a significant uptick in the number of thefts at the Shell. Detective Andy Nielsen and Police Officer Matt Shaw took the initiative to work on these cases, even though these cases involved losses that admittedly weren't significant. It was happening more and more, and it was impacting our students, so they stepped in to see what they could do. Detective Nielsen and Officer Shaw recognized a pattern with the thefts. They were able to link the cases and put together a plan to identify and arrest the perpetrators. Operation What the Shell was initiated, and officers and detectives collaborated to work undercover at the Shell during peak times when thefts had been reported. Their efforts in combating the thefts resulted in cases solved and better working relationships with rec sports. Additionally, Detective Nielsen and Officer Shaw identified issues with check-in procedures at the Shell. They worked with Shell staff and rec sports administration to change procedures, add cameras, and eventually ban the offenders. Since these efforts, there has been a dramatic decrease in thefts from the Shell. What the Shell was a success, and I thank Detective Nielsen and Officer Shaw for their efforts. This excellent service commendation is awarded to Detective Andy Nielsen and Officer Matt Shaw. Our last excellent service commendation goes to Police Officer Justin Zerbakken and his partner, K9 Ritter. And we're actually giving each of them 2 awards for their work on 2 separate cases. First, September 6th of last year, Officer Zerbakken and K9 Ritter responded to assist MPD with locating suspects connected to a stolen car involved in a hit-and-run crash. Suspects were reported to have fled the area on foot. K9 Ritter was given the command to track, and he worked hard to find the suspects. At one point, he appeared to have lost the track, but regained the initial article scent and started tracking again. K9 Ritter soon located 2 juvenile suspects in the Arboretum, and both were arrested. The following month, on October 1st, Officer Zerbakken and K9 Ritter were tasked with searching for suspects involved in an earlier shooting. The suspects crashed their getaway van, and Ritter worked to track a scent from there to a residence nearby. The track helped establish sufficient probable cause for officers to charge 1 adult and 1 juvenile. who were later located in the home that Ritter led officers to. Both cases represent the incredible importance of our canine teams and the countless hours of training and discipline required. Work that in these cases led to 4 felony suspect arrests. This excellent service commendation is awarded to Police Officer Justin Zerbucket and K-9 Ritter. That wraps up our excellent service commendations. Congratulations to you all for the great contributions you've made to our department and our community in 2019. I'll now turn things over to Assistant Chief Carrie Sasso to announce our Community Service Awards.
Thank you, Chief Roman. It's my honor to present our Community Service Awards for 2019, awarded to department members for community service above and beyond the norm in performance of everyday duties, or for being instrumental in developing and implementing a new program of crime prevention, community service, or other activity to enhance public safety on campus, or for maintaining, sustained, and consistently exceptional community relations. Say that 3 times fast. Our Community Service Award, our first Community Service Award goes to 2 department members who have gone above and beyond in their outreach towards Latino community members. For the last few years, Sergeant Juan Avila and Officer Corey Johnson have partnered with the Amigos in Azul program, representing our agency. This is a local program that works to dissolve cultural barriers, build partnerships, and open lines of communication between the Latino community and local law enforcement. Sergeant Avila and Officer Johnson have dedicated time and great effort to go above and beyond the expectations of their positions in order to serve the community and build partnerships with members of this community program. Whether it is a social outing or a soccer game, both of these employees are always involved, to the point where Amigos in Azul itself has recognized both for their work within this community program. We thank them both for their involvement and partnership with this critical community partner. This Community Service Award is presented to Sergeant Juan Avila and Officer Corey Johnson. Our next award recognizes a group of department members for their efforts to bring a restorative justice program to UWPD. This is a program that promotes community service and positive behavior in place of traditional legal punishments, like citations, fines, or jail. Assistant Chief Brent Plish, Captain Ruth Ewing, Sergeant Cheryl Redzinski, and Court Liaison Julie Dahman all worked collectively to bring this program to UWPD. And it was a very successful first year for this program, as 39 cases were referred to CRC from our agency alone in 2019. This makes a big impact on the students who are referred, as it gives them the opportunity to repair the harm caused by the crime they committed and allows the department to further its efforts with restorative justice. Additionally, those who successfully completed the program resolved the misdemeanor crimes before formal charging. Setting up the program was a challenge itself. Keeping it running successfully is another challenge. UWPD Court Liaison Julie Dahman has gone above and beyond to ensure the program's success, attending meetings and coordinating communication with all of the CRC partners, like the DA's office and UW Student Conduct. CRC has said UWPD is one of the agencies with the highest success rates for those referred to the program, and we thank all of those involved from the beginning to help get us where we are today. This Community Service Award is presented to Assistant Chief Brent Plish, Captain Ruth Ewing, Sergeant Cheryl Redzinski, and Court Liaison Julie Dahman. Our next Community Service Award recognizes 2 people for their work on a fun team building exercise, not only for our department, but for departments across campus. Captain Ruth Ewing and then Clery Compliance Director Jamie Guilford helped create the first annual UWPD Field Day. It was a fun day, but with a purpose, as it brought many of our campus partners together in a fun setting and allowed us to connect and meet new campus partners. From a kickball to a lip sync competition, it was pretty clear that everyone involved had a great time. And we also learned some new information about our own members of our own team. In particular, their interesting yet wonderful dance moves. In addition to the fun, we were able to partner with our friends at Quick Trip. They donated $500 to the Open Seat, our campus food pantry. The winning team got the honor of presenting the check to the food pantry. We thank Captain Ewing and Jamie Guilford for the idea and then for their meticulous planning to execute it so flawlessly. Sadly, this year's field day had to be canceled because of COVID-19, but we're excited about the 2021 field day. This Community Service Award is presented to Captain Ruth Ewing and Jamie Guilford. Our final Community Service Award honors two people who worked on a unique project that has thus set our campus apart from any other in the country. In early 2019, Emergency Management Director Bill Curtis started exploring how we might be able to start sending out WISC alerts in multiple languages. He worked closely with Carmen Romero Gonzalez from Cultural Linguistics Services, and quickly learned this would be a difficult task. Despite the mountain of barriers and reasons why this could not be done, Director Curtis continued to move forward to find a way to make this happen. After working through various ideas with Carmen and others, it was agreed that the best possibility was to identify a few generic messages, and working with Carmen and her team, they looked at the generic brief messages, put them into plain language, and translated all of the messages, which would be sent in a link after a traditional WISC alert. This past January, Carmen and her staff presenting this new option to many of UW's ESL employees. Our staff also attended this late night forum to help get them signed up for the alerts. Because of Director Curtis's collaboration with Carmen and her team and their dedication to this effort from the beginning and not giving up when it would have been very easy to do so, UW-Madison became the first university to send alerts in other languages. This is a tremendous achievement and service to provide our community. This Community Service Award is presented to Director Bill Curtis, and for her great efforts in this project, a Chief's Award is being presented to Carmen Romero Gonzalez. That wraps up our Community Service Awards. A big thank you to all who have gone above and beyond for the greater good of our UW-Madison campus community and beyond. Now, I'll turn things over to Assistant Chief Brent Plish for our next awards.
Thank you, Assistant Chief Sasso. Next up are Life-Saving Awards, awarded to department members who knowingly and directly act to save a life or lives, even in the event that the attempt was unsuccessful. Our first award is from an incident that occurred earlier this year. On January 21st, UWPD was dispatched to the natatorium for a report of an unconscious person in the pool. Not much was known about the condition of the subject as officers arrived. The subject was located, and UWPD officer Krista Bailey took over CPR. Another UWPD officer arrived on scene with an AED, but no shock was advised. Eventually, Madison Fire Department arrived and took over, transporting the patient to UW Hospital. After the incident, staff was understandably shaken, and Officer Bailey stayed to speak with some of the staff members about the incident, offering resources so they could talk about and cope with what had just occurred. Although the final outcome of this incident was not positive, our staff moved quickly and did all they could to provide life-saving measures to this person. Their actions, especially Officer Bailey's, are commendable. This life-saving award is presented to Officer Krista Bailey. Next up, we're recognizing two UWPD employees for their life-saving actions. On September 11th of last year, Officers Vanden Langenberg and Bridges were sent to the Engineering Research Building to look for a person who had been threatening suicide. This was all third-hand information from a friend, and the text said they were in room 208. Officer Bridges and Vanden Langenberg conducted a search of the second floor and detected a faint banging noise and muffled voice echoing from somewhere on the second floor. Bridges and Vanden Langenberg isolated the noise to a different room, but the lights were off and there were no visible signs of it being occupied. They entered the room and narrowed their search to a closed cabinet. They opened the cabinet and rescued a barely conscious suicidal male gasping for air. The cabinet was packed with a pillow, backpack, alcoholic beverages, and a sealed canister containing liquid nitrogen. The subject, although highly intoxicated, admitted he was attempting to commit suicide. Officers learned that there was no release mechanism located within the cabinet after closed. The subject was later treated and admitted to a local hospital. Both officers demonstrated excellent service and great decision-making skills. With very limited information, they worked together to locate this man, ultimately saving his life. This life-saving award is presented to Officer Ryan Bridges and Matt Vanden Langenberg. Our next life-saving award is for an incident that took place last September. It was a Friday afternoon on September 20th when Officer Jake Lepper responded to the Biomedical Sciences Complex for the report of a pulseless, non-breathing subject. Officer Lepper was first to arrive on scene. He found an individual performing CPR on an unresponsive female. Officer Lepper immediately assisted with chest compressions, estimated to be about 5 minutes until Madison Fire paramedics took over. Officer Lepper quickly transitioned to securing the immediate area while paramedics continued with life-saving measures. Unfortunately, the victim did not survive and was later pronounced dead on scene. A Dane County medical examiner responded for a death investigation. Officer Lepper was then tasked with the duty of evidence technician to include photographs, collection of evidence, and assisting with other evidentiary tasks requested by investigators. The following day, Officer Lepper assisted with evidentiary needs as part of the autopsy. Multiple officers responded to assist with this call and performed exceptionally. But Officer Lepper truly shined, as he was the sole officer actively involved in life-saving measures. These calls are traumatic for any professional, but Officer Lepper showed exceptional professionalism, restraint, and clarity of mind throughout, from the initial call and through the investigation. This life-saving award is presented to Officer Jake Lepper. Our final life-saving award is to recognize a group of people for their life-saving efforts this past year, for their use of Narcan. Ordinarily, we would recognize these people individually, but because of the increase in these types of incidents, we decided to group all of them together. We are proud to honor 7 individuals for their administration of Narcan or their assistance with the administration. This includes one incident that we missed from 2018 as well. These incidents are wide-ranging. One case involved Narcan and CPR. Another case required administering 5 doses of Narcan to the individual. But the one thing in common with all of these cases, all ended in positive outcomes. All of the subjects involved were brought back to life. The Life-Saving Award is presented to Officer Jesse Catoulis, Officer Justin Jones, Officer Nikki Zotner, and 2 life-saving awards each for Officer Nick Grease and Officer Ryan Bridges. That wraps up our life-saving awards. Congratulations to all recipients, and thank you for your heroic actions. And now, Chief Roman with our last group of awards.
Thank you, Assistant Chief Plitch. Finally, I'm honored to announce our Chiefs Awards, presented to members of the community who have assisted a member of the department or have performed commendable acts such as life-saving. Our first Chiefs Award recognizes 2 UW-Madison students for truly going above and beyond to help a friend who desperately needed help. This case involved a suicidal subject who was threatening to jump from the railroad bridge above Park Street. Our officers reported at various points throughout this call the individual was both hanging over the edge and standing at the edge of the bridge, threatening to jump. All of our staff involved exhibited the core values of reaching higher and worked seamlessly as a team to render the area as safe as possible, communicate efficiently, and gain a positive outcome for the subject. However, it was the 2 friends of the individual who really shined. Caitlin Ellis and Kennedy Beiersdorf were the only people the individual was willing to positively communicate with. They were able to convince the person to come off the ledge and eventually to step away, which allowed officers to gain control of the subject. Without the help from these 2 heroic individuals, the outcome of this call could very well have been drastically different. This Chiefs Award is presented to Caitlin Ellis and Kennedy Beiersdorf. Our next Chiefs Award is a special one that hits very close to home for all of us at UWPD. Last year, UWPD Access Control Office employee Kelly Willen was 6 months pregnant with her first child when she wasn't feeling well and called in sick to work. Her husband, Jeff, who was not aware she was ill, tried calling her to talk to her in the morning. When she answered, she didn't make any sense, but he thought she was busy at work and then hung up. Jeff's gut knew something wasn't right, so he decided to call again a few minutes later, but she didn't answer. Persistent Jeff called Kelly's desk at the Access Control Office, and he was advised that Kelly had called in sick. Again, Jeff tried Kelly's cell phone, and no answer. Jeff knew something was wrong, so he decided to leave work to check on her. When he arrived home, he found Kelly unresponsive in their bed. Jeff immediately called 911 for an ambulance and then called UWPD so we all knew what was going on. Rumor is Supervisor Bill Vanderblumen ran and beat the ambulance to the hospital. Turns out Kelly had a life-threatening medical complication. Kelly was immediately taken in for an emergency C-section, and a short time later, we were very relieved to learn that Kelly and new baby Graham were both doing well. Baby Graham remained in the neonatal intensive care unit for 100 days, but he's now happy and healthy, and we are so very thankful that Kelly is healthy as well. We're told Jeff is a huge Star Wars fan, and he says he believes he felt a disturbance in the Force, which led him to drive home and essentially save Kelly and Graham's life. Whatever he felt, we're so thankful for his quick, life-saving actions. This Chiefs Award is presented to Jeff Willen. Our final Chiefs Award is presented to two individuals who are always willing to assist with our department's annual Dog Job fundraiser, and we're so thankful for their partnership. First, Doreen Phobes, who for the past 6 years has diligently helped out the K-9 unit bright and early for the annual UWPD Dog Jog. She arrives bright with her large mug of coffee, early, ready to work, handing out t-shirts, checking people in, putting swag bags together, setting up, tearing down, and much more. The K-9 unit and our entire department is extremely lucky to have Doreen as one of our amazing community members. And then Jackson Jones from Q106, who has been our MC for a number of years. He loves dogs and loves our K-9 unit and does so much to support our department. In addition to volunteering his time, humor, and energy to help us raise funds for our K-9 unit, he also helps promote us through various radio interviews he's done with our staff over the years. Jackson is a champion of community service. When he's not helping us raise money, he's doing it on his own through his Community Action Fund. To Jackson and Doreen, thank you so much for all of your help and continued support of UWPD. We can't thank you enough. These Chiefs Awards are presented to Doreen Phobes and Jackson Jones. And that wraps up our virtual awards ceremony, celebrating the work of our colleagues and our community members in 2019. Congratulations to all of our winners, and thank you for what you do to keep our organizations running smoothly and our community safe and secure. Until next time, stay safe, stay well, and keep reaching higher.